What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of 7 FOV. Now, today, this is a very easy episode for Mercedes and I because Autumn is going to talk about the weather for the foreseeable future, and we're just going to talk about how we didn't have any snow at our houses when we woke up, and that the Northtowns are just lovely this time of year.
A double whammy. I'm the meteorologist,
and you're the Southtowns person.
Snow.
You know, it's funny because you're a meteorologist. Wouldn't you think, like, hey, let's move where we don't have a ton of snow all the time?
Unless you like snow.
Unless you like snow, sure.
We're a big Southtowns family.
Okay.
We like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, we like being down there.
Yeah, I understand. Southtowns people love the Southtowns people. Northtowns people love that they don't live in the Southtowns. That's pretty much how it works, basically.
I love all people. I'm okay with the fact that some people don't deal with the snow.
Yeah.
And that they rub it in my face.
Yes. You
but
got 29
okay.
more minutes of this, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Get used to it.
So why don't we just talk about what has been going on?
Please.
So from this morning and into the early afternoon, this lake effect band began to shift south. As it did so, lost a little bit of its intensity. It wasn't going over the lake as much as it was previously. And now it's making that jog back north. So those that have had snow are getting more snow this evening. And this band actually could push just a little bit more north into the next couple of hours as well. So that could be up to South Buffalo, maybe Batavia as well. Winds are still about 40 miles an hour. But the good thing with this band, one, the winds are going to start to calm down. So the inland intrusion kind of gets eaten away. And then it will also begin to push back south later into the evening. And then overnight, pretty much move rapidly to the southern tier. But what happened this morning, I mean, there was 4 inches an hour, I think.
Oof.
It might have gotten up to. And it was a combination. Number one, the winds increased right during that time. I mean, that pretty much all kind of goes together. So the winds increased, the intensity increased, and it was right around the time that people would be rush houring in the Southtowns. So it created a very bad scenario where it was white out within that band for, I don't know, a few miles. So I hope everybody's safe. On the drive in, I saw plenty of cars that were just kind of left abandoned. Good thing that there's, obviously no one in them, but I guess people are walking outside of their cars and along the streets. I just thought of how scary is that you are then thinking that's the best thing that you can do
to
in
have
that
to get
situation.
out of your car and start walking somewhere because that's your best option. So have we gone through for the majority of the worst of it, or is it basically get through this evening and then it'll start to slow down a bit?
Yeah, it's this evening too. So those that are in the lake effect band currently are probably, the band isn't as intense, but we're probably still 1 to 3 inches an hour, probably 2 to 3 with having more length of the lake to kind of gain moisture and intensity. So we got a few hours of this before that moves south. So if we got 3 inches an hour and it's over Hamburg right now, and you've got another, 4 or 5 hours, you're up to a foot again.
When it snows, there's like different barometers that I have in my head that signify the intensity of the snow. I see, okay, how many schools have closed? You see, what are people talking about? You go on social media, you see what people are posting. The big one for me today, the Bills canceled practice today. And that does not happen often. They had to cancel practice. Normally, they just move inside. They have a field house, right?
What did I tell you in my text?
She texted me this, and I said they would just move it inside. But what I didn't know was that none of those guys were really able to get to the facility to practice for the day. So I ended up spending the day here. I thought I was going to be in Orchard Park. Let me tell you who was thrilled. My mom, that she knew that I didn't have to drive to Orchard Park.
Right.
Oh, she called me this morning. She was like,
you
better be safe. It's going to be so bad out on the roads. I was like, listen, this is a really big game. The Bills are practicing. I have to be there. And then the Bills canceled practice. So that was kind of my, a little alarm that this one's pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, one of my twins had a concert tonight. And she got up this morning and all you heard was her screechy little voice. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We canceled school for this?
Oh, no kidding.
Because we had maybe 3 inches.
But she was upset that school was canceled.
One of them loves school. One of them could do without.
I vividly remember.
Yeah.
That's knowing you don't have school was the greatest feeling in the
One
world.
of them loves school. Wow. One of them can do without. She was still up at 6:30, chasing the dog around. The other one slept till 10:30, and got up and didn't eat till noon. She's gaming.
Uh-huh.
She has not said a word about school. And all you heard at 6:30 this morning was, "Are you kidding me?"
Wow.
Poor
man.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, she's looking forward to
She was
it.
looking
I
forward to her
understand.
concert.
They moved it till Monday.
Okay.
But she was upset.
I remember waking up and watching the news in my parents' room. I would wake up
Yes.
and you would
And it
wait
would
for the
just
little ticker at the
scroll.
bottom of the
Yep.
news.
Waiting for it.
And you were
Yep.
seeing all of the schools, and I remember I would start to lean forward as we were getting to the ends. I went to Niagara Wheatfield, and it would be like Nardin, Nichols, and you would just see these end schools come up, and then it would get to Niagara Falls, and you'd go, "Okay, we're next,
Yeah.
and then it would skip over to the next thing,
Yep.
and you'd scream, and you'd go, "Why? Why
Yeah,
did I
I
do
feel
this?"
like
They
They
must
never
have forgot.
Yeah, they forgot.
I feel like they never cancel school
Well,
when I was going.
I mean, we're Northtowns, right?
Yeah,
like,
you would
Well,
think.
I grew up in Lockport / Medina.
yeah.
And I feel like there were sometimes it was like the Southtowns there, and we had to walk through that to get to school.
Mhm.
I mean, I sound like my parents and even my grandmother at this point where I'm like, I remember when
I
I
walked
had to walk through
15
4
miles
feet
up
of
a
snow.
hill.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to go
And
15
5 feet of
miles up
snow.
a hill through
Yes.
a
Yeah.
squall
It
and all
was
this
minus 40 wind chills, I swear.
I just remember, so my dad went to Iroquois, like my dad's from the Southtowns, he went to Elma, and you sit there and you're watching on the ticker, and I'm pretty sure Iroquois never went to school. It was every day they were closed. It was like, oh, Iroquois Central closed, snow. And I'm like, do they even go to school in the Southtowns? Because
Yeah.
that's what you see. You
Yeah.
see all the
it
other
was
schools.
always closed.
And it was always closed.
I did that with my daughter the last week, I think it was, when schools were closed.
Uh-huh.
And I showed her the ticker at the bottom of the screen and I
Yeah.
said, well, you got to wait for your school. She goes, okay, mama, tell me when it's my school.
Yeah.
And her school came after the E's
Uh-huh.
and there were Erie One BOCES. There are probably 20 of them.
Yep.
She goes, what does that say? I'm like, Erie BOCES North, Erie BOCES, this,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
She goes, is it mine yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
All
And then
right.
it came and went.
All right. We got to take a quick break. We will continue the conversation online. We'll also be back in a couple minutes.
Oh, so we have some walk to schools. I once walked to school in Medina only to find out it was closed. See?
Medina. Man, well, you know,
I mean, we didn't get a ton like that in Medina.
when I said that you're a Northtown, I know that you're like, but I also, I know it's not, I consider where I'm from the Northtowns. Even though I'm from Niagara County, I just, for some reason, have always been like, oh yeah, like I live in the Northtowns. Like that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, we rarely got it, but they still never cancel school. I'm like, y'all just like to torture us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but we never really get bad snow either.
Well, here's Grace. See, Grace right here is with us, Autumn. They never canceled school when I was growing up in the 60s.
Yeah.
My sisters and I had to trudge through 2 feet of snow because we were considered walkers, even though
Yeah.
we lived more than a mile away in Cheektowaga.
Man,
A
walking
mile.
to school.
Yeah. You never walked to school?
No, I never walked to school.
What?
My school was so
You
far
have not
from-
lived unless you walked to school.
Let me look up my
Yeah.
childhood address to where I went to school. You're talking about like elementary school? Or like-
Any. I mean, I walked from elementary to high school.
My elementary school was walking.
Yeah.
My walk from my house to my high school was 7.2 miles.
Now,
Who was,
this is-
walk-
this
who
is
was
my-
walking
listen.
7.2 miles?
That's far.
Well, no, nobody would do that. I don't think that'd be legal.
14-minute drive.
Yeah, that wouldn't be legal.
14
So-
minutes. So do you have a bus or you had to be?
I had to take a bus. Yeah, I
Oh,
had to take
yeah,
a
yeah,
bus.
yeah. So my best friend, who never comments, by the way, Stephanie says Lockport School barely ever closed. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
like we never closed.
Oh, Wheatfield kind of was the barometer. Wheatfield, Lockport, Niagara Falls, Kenmore, those were always kind of like in that same little bucket of like, okay, didn't get a ton of snow. Will schools be closed tomorrow, you think?
And what was very nice with Mother Nature is that this band shifted south where areas that had over 2 feet of snow, I mean, plows were out everywhere. So you were able to, plows and city workers and all of that were able to kind of clear everything up. And now there's a second round. So I think, it's really hard when you deal with people in Hamburg and Eden and Orchard Park where they've gotten, nearly 3 feet of snow. Not every family can get everything cleared out in order
Yeah.
to get their kids on a
Yep.
bus or to school. So I think they might take that into consideration for tomorrow. I mean, Northtowns, Buffalo, all of that's probably going to be all well and good. Although this lake effect ban is coming up to Blaisdell, West Seneca, the potential of going to South Buffalo for a time into like this afternoon commute. So this could be slow for people as well.
Yeah.
Autumn, I thought you would appreciate that comment.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the radar.
Thought you would appreciate that. We're coming back. Welcome back to Studio 7. So before the break, we were talking about, the weather, obviously.
Yeah.
But we're, kind of giving our weather stories. And Autumn, I think you'll like Linda's, right? Because you're talking about those stories.
Uphill both ways in our father's pajamas when it snowed. Yeah, they're like, okay. Parents are like, all right, get out the door.
Yeah.
Speaking of kind of commuting, this afternoon commute, if you're in the city and you're headed to the Southtowns, this band is making its way kind of northward, potentially up to about South Buffalo. So it's going to be a slow commute within that. And of course, if you can just stay out of it, just don't worry about it. This afternoon, it's not as intense. The winds are going to die down into the next few hours. So that's going to help with intensity kind of lagging off as well. But I would just steer clear.
Yeah. Avoid it if you don't have to be in it, I guess. What was your favorite thing to do on a snow day when you were a kid?
Just lay around in pajamas.
Just lay around in
it
pajamas?
was cartoons.
Didn't go outside.
Bugs Bunny and cartoons and cereal all day.
Yeah.
And we were just running around driving my mom. I'm sure she hated snow days.
Oh, I bet for a parent, snow days are like,
sure.
oh no, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, now I got to deal with you all day,
Oh.
basically.
My kids have come to me a couple of times today and told me some things that they're doing to each other that I cannot say on air what they've done. That I'm just like, guys, just separate.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
Just separate on snow days.
My brain is rewired now that I'm a parent because you never think as about like being a parent until you
you're
are a
completely
parent.
different.
You're completely different. So what do you do if your kids have a snow day? You call into work usually, like depending on the age of
Well,
the kid,
I'm
right?
still here.
You're still here, yeah. You kind of got an important. You kind of got an important job on snow days.
If you have family around, sometimes family can pick up. But to be honest, you prepare for it because our girls go to the after school program. They cancel that too.
Sure.
So my husband and I switch our schedules around. So he's texting when we know, as soon as we get the alert, I'm like, okay, what do you have going on?
Yeah.
What do I have going on? And we switch because my parents are still working.
And also,
Right.
if it's bad outside, how do you know if somebody can get over to you, if you can get your kid to somewhere to be watched?
Because
Like
my dad lives in Niagara Falls and he brags like you. There's
Yeah.
no snow here.
because he knows.
So
he
we
gets it.
know that Grandpa's always
he
available.
gets it. And the other thing that I never realized too, and we ran into this last week, so everybody in our family has been sick for a couple weeks. It's just been like one after another after another. I never realized if our kid is sick, then your job may be impacted because you need to take care of the child. Like that's not something that goes into your head until it's like, oh no, she's sick.
Oh,
We
gosh.
probably like can't bring her to our parents' house.
What parents?
Exactly. So
can
like we don't
watch.
want to bring her to my parents' house or
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Andrew's parents'
That
house.
could
or
be
something.
stressful. The last 24 hours, like if I'm normally here, I was probably like
Oh, I
Just a
bet.
little
I
elevated.
bet.
because trying to juggle schedules and being working parents, and then she has off as well.
Yep.
It was tough, and somehow you make it work, and it's still stressful, but
Yeah.
we're good.
I'm
Even
so
my
sorry,
older
I just
two.
yawned.
Oh, you're
I just
good.
yawned.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
We're boring.
I'm
We're boring
No,
them.
you're not boring. It's just, man, this parent thing is smacking me in the face.
I'm telling you,
right now.
even my older two, my 22-year-old and my 18-year-old, they know. They're not parents of the twins, but my son will be like, "Hey, so what's going on tomorrow?"
when it's time to step up, it's like, hey, I can be a helping hand.
No, that's opposite.
No.
He's just like, "So what are y'all doing?" Because I can get up early and leave, so y'all don't stick me with. It's just like, "Hey, so
I'm gonna be on my way.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we're good. We don't need
Yeah.
you. All right, cool. So then he'll sleep in and do his normal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice for him to kind of say he doesn't want to do it, but he
Yeah.
would.
Nicely saying that. So you said you would just on a snow day, just kind of like hang out and just eat cereal all day and watch
Oh,
cartoons.
as
What
kids,
what
yeah.
would your day have been?
Well, now, I mean, we went outside, I snow blowed,
Uh-huh.
and we made snow angels.
That's adorable.
And I tried to take a picture, and my storage is gone, so I couldn't.
Your storage is gone on your phone.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people you got to delete pictures to take pictures?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm like,
Oh,
what
man.
video can I get rid of? It's been bad.
Do you store text messages? Those take up a ton of space.
They do, and I have gotten rid of like all. I had years,
like
years.
20 gig.
I
Yeah.
probably had 5 years worth of text messages.
I don't delete
from
text
people.
messages either. And then I had to basically set up so after a year, it automatically will delete the previous messages.
Oh, yeah, that's probably good to do because
Yeah.
it's wasting a ton of time to try to get rid of them.
What's
all.
in the comments?
But people are just saying a nice
Cocoa
cup of
with,
hot cocoa.
Oh, cocoa with Bailey's Irish cream.
Mhm.
Howard, what do you think this is right now?
Yeah.
Anything else? Where are people watching from? Because I know so many different people are dealing with so much different weather. Like you've got the Northtowns people, the
Yeah.
Southtowns people, the people like
I saw somebody from Florida.
somebody from Florida is
Earlier.
watching.
Yeah,
Oh
earlier.
yeah, that must be nice.
Yeah,
Florida would
they're
be cool
just
right now.
sitting back.
This is a really good
relaxing.
one that Cheryl said. Please check on your elderly neighbors to see if they need anything or any help.
Yes, that is a very good point.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just even going over, checking their driveway. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
can I shovel you out? Can I make sure that your side of part of the driveway is cleaned up? And just
Mm-hmm.
taking one thing off of their plate, because I know when my grandmother, I mean, in the last several years of my grandmother's life, she could not even like get out of her chair,
Yeah.
basically. So these would be the things that would really stress her out. She's like, I just physically cannot get up, let alone get outside and get a shovel. So then we would always be the ones taking care of that. But every once in a while you'd show up and the neighbors were doing it, which was always like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, yeah. Arthur, we'd like to know where you're from.
Up to 4 feet, and
We're
we are still digging.
Yeah, where are you from?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Arthur,
let
let us
me
know
know
where
the
you
re-
were watching from, because that is an insane amount of snow.
Yeah.
Today was I mean, like, kind of, what would we call this? The second big storm of the year,
I don't know.
right? What
I
that was
feel
it?
like
couple
there
weeks
were.
ago.
I feel like there were 3 of them.
There was one a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, Thanksgiving.
I
Uh-huh.
thought that was the first one. Was that? The
That's
first
what I
one or
thought
no?
was too,
Yeah.
the first one. But we still haven't had one in the North.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
I,
didn't
thi-
have to
I
say
thought there
that,
was
But it's true. But it's true.
I think there was another one after Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and now this one.
The last time I had to go to
Yeah.
Detroit, we're going to Detroit this weekend for the Bills game.
Town of
was
Evans. I was
Town
going to
of
say Evans.
The Bills, remember they had to move a game against the Cleveland Browns. It was in Orchard Park, but it
Yeah.
snowed so much that they went and moved the game to Detroit, and then they played another game 4 days later in Detroit. So that is what I've been thinking about a
Yeah,
lot the
that
last
was
couple
tough.
days of, like, quickly having to go to Detroit. Now I don't have to do it because of weather, because it should be done, right? Like
Mhm.
Friday.
Yeah, yeah. This is done early Friday. You'll be fine driving in to Detroit,
Uh-huh.
and then later Saturday you got rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
No big deal. All right, we're going to take one more quick break on the TV side of things. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Studio 7.
So you were asking everybody where they were from.
From the Seneca Nation of Cattaraugus Indian Reservation, Cattaraugus County, 32 miles south of Buffalo. Go Bills. What's up, Daryl? Thank you for watching.
We got Town of Evans. We saw that. Grace says
Wheatfield, let's go.
Lori says,
Yeah.
oh, Orchard Park.
All right, it's okay, Lori. Wheatfield, what up? Let's go.
Linda says Brant, and it's still blowing.
Yep.
Sorry to be multitasking at the moment. I was doing stuff for.
You have to
the-
do the
the
news
fi-
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, I wanted them to know that we have the radar ready for them to take, so you can see it while we're on the air and whatnot. And
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So all the people that need to know that know it.
So in the last segment, we should probably just do a little bit more weather. What can we expect the next
Yeah.
couple days?
Yeah.
I know that sometimes people are like, oh, they're talking about weather again, but it is something that's
Well,
very
you know,
important right
there's snow that's coming up to Buffalo as we speak.
now. Oh, is there?
So, that's during your kind of afternoon drive. Yeah, I mean it brushes to downtown, but
Mhm.
then it heads back south again. So
Yeah.
It was.
That could
It's
give
been
us a
super
couple
windy
inches.
too.
Yeah.
Like
and,
super duper
and
duper windy.
the winds they'll calm down over the next few hours. So that's
I had to move because Ellie was sick, so I had to move my shift yesterday. And luckily, we have the flexibility of being able to do this, but I moved my shift towards night, so I ended up coming in at like 3:30, and then I was, I did Studio 7 for a little bit. I had to do the 5 and 6 o'clock, and then I covered the Sabres game. Sabres game ends. I probably didn't get home until about midnight, but that shift. So yesterday morning was wake up with the baby 7:30, take care of her, she takes a nap at noon. I tried to nap, but I couldn't. Then at 2 o'clock, get her to my mom's house, drive to work, do this whole thing, work until midnight, and then woke up today and was into work by 9:30. And that like midnight to 9:30
I got to
turn
do that tomorrow.
is always tricky, and I am feeling
After
it
all of
right now.
this.
And I used to be able to just do it with no questions asked, and now I'm like, whoa, that hit me
Yeah.
a little bit harder than I remember it hitting me.
Try doing the morning show.
Well, I used to have to do that too.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's tricky. I left that in the past. Man, when do you got to do the morning show?
Around Christmas.
Oof.
Oh, is Aaron off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez. Okay, quick question before we come back. Mari's asking, what does everyone wear for outerwear in this frigid weather?
I wear jeans because I always wear jeans and just like a regular coat.
No, like my husband has so many layers. I'm like, how?
I for some reason don't get super cold.
Mm.
I just have always, the only thing that ever gets cold for me is my hands. My hands are the things that gets cold. 10 seconds.
I really bundled up.
Did you?
And then
your
I
snow
had
angels?
Natalia and I had so much stuff with me.
Welcome back to Studio 7. So we're talking all weather because
Yes.
we got some weather stuff
Well,
going
there's
on.
a lot of stuff happening, and
Yeah.
obviously this is another big storm, and this has
Yeah.
impacted a lot of people today. I mean, I think most of the schools in Erie County were closed
Mhm.
today.
Yeah, there were a ton. And I think a lot of that has to do with, we're in the Southtowns and our school closed because, I mean, rightfully so, it did. But my daughter's teacher is from the Northtowns.
Can't get there.
So I think vice versa. There are people in schools in the Northtowns that live in the Southtowns. And then, okay, you have school. Well, now you don't have teachers to be in your school.
Yeah.
So that might play into it too.
Yep.
Yeah, and
So,
then if you've got like substitute teachers, they can't get there either if they're coming
depending
from a
on
place,
where they're from.
coming
yeah.
from somewhere that's
That's
getting
going to have to be
hammered
on your
with
application.
snow.
Okay, where are you from?
Right.
So we know when we can have issues.
Is there a place or a part of Western New York that historically gets the least amount of snow? I know it would be somewhere in the Northtowns, but is
I
there
mean, I
like
don't
an
know.
Is he
area?
waiting for you to
I
say
don't know.
No.
I don't know
Sunny and 85.
historically, probably a good portion of Niagara County, but then you get closer to the lake.
I was going to say you get closer to Lake Ontario, then, right?
then
Wouldn't that?
you have lake effect off of Lake Ontario too, so that can
So you know
kind
what
of
she's saying.
impact there.
She's saying Wheatfield, basically. Wheatfield's
Yeah.
the perfect place.
You
to
see
live.
the grin he has
Yeah,
on his
that's what
face.
she's
You see the
basically
grin.
saying. Well, no, I don't live in Wheatfield anymore. I live on Grand Island now.
I know, but you would rather live in Wheatfield.
Yes, that's true. I live on Grand Island because there was one big reason to live on Grand
Yeah.
Island, my wife. And
She
what I
told you
learned is
so.
people who
That's what
live
has
on
to
Grand
happen.
Island don't leave Grand Island. So here we are. We're on Grand Island now. Yeah, I just think, and then tomorrow, is it not like a little tricky in the morning and then it calms down?
No,
Or?
this will move later this evening. So currently it's up to almost kind of that ring around the 190 from Buffalo, the 190 to the 90 south. So that's like kind of the edge of South Buffalo, Sloan,
Yeah.
Kaisertown, all those areas. That's kind of how far north that ends up being. And then inland, it's I mean, still quite a far way in between Warsaw and Attica. And with this push north, this could maybe get to Batavia. So that could give a couple of inches of snow. And then I will just kind of pull up the latest model and talk about what
This is like
timing it
watching a
goes
painter
where.
paint.
I know.
Right? Like I'm sitting here. I know you
know.
guys can't exactly see what's going on the television side of things, but she's looking at the models and I'm watching her look at the models and see how this is all
Yeah.
happening in real time. So is red mean that that's an area that's going to get
This is like I kind of discredit that.
okay?
But what is dark is where that band is. And also this is like South Buffalo right
So
there.
okay, so Wales, Dunkirk, Brant.
All those areas through about 7 or 8. This is sticking maybe close to South Buffalo towards Batavia. And then we will get that band to move between 8 and 10. It takes that jog back south. And then by 1 or 2, it's near Springville, still Dunkirk. And then by 6, 7 in the morning, it's further south for Chautauqua and Cattaraugus County, which would be closer to Mayville, Franklinville, Ellicottville,
Yeah.
those places.
Yeah.
And then it will come to an end. Yeah, right around noon, 1. We'll probably still have some
Yeah, just like a little bit though.
limited lake effect around, but it loses a lot of not only its moisture, the upper air kind of it has drier air building in,
Yeah.
so that kind of helps shut it off, and then the winds too.
as we can share with the Northtowns. We've had almost 3 feet in Attica. Lori, that's very in the holiday spirit of you, willing to share. But you know what? We're going to respectfully decline. I'm going to be the Northtowns ambassador here, and I will say thank you, but no thank you,
ambassador.
basically. Can that be a role? Can I get that role somehow?
You already have it.
Like an elected
You already
official
have
type
it,
deal,
yeah.
like Northtowns ambassador?
In all
I want
those
to be knighted.
all those areas that have this 3 feet of snow, they could have another half a foot, maybe up to a foot of snow through this evening as this
Wow.
band shifts south. So still a lot more cleanup to go.
I had my yesterday, so we're sitting there, we're walking the dog and the baby in the morning, and my garage door broke. So now, luckily, I don't have to get my snow blower outside of the garage right now because it hasn't fallen yet, but I got to get my garage door fixed. What's a garage getting fixed cost?
$700.
You
No
think so? I
idea.
was going to say everything
At
costs like
least.
$500.
Well,
right?
what's
Because
the
we
issue?
just got it done last week.
Oh, did you really? Okay,
Yeah.
so it was
It's a
$700.
lot, at least.
At least $700.
Okay.
Mine was a
Well-
bracket broke off the actual door itself, so now the mechanism to lift the door won't open.
Yeah.
So I need them to come and I think replace the bracket and reattach
Well,
it to the door.
try to YouTube it first.
Well, I did, but it feels like it's a little outside of my
More?
like range of like,
Gotcha.
I don't exactly know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Kevin's
yeah.
looking at me like, oh, this is basic, simple work. To me, I'm like, just because I'm from Wheatfield doesn't mean I know how to do a lot of things that I should know how to do. I know how to pick up a phone and call somebody.
Nope, ours wouldn't close.
Okay, so
Ours wouldn't close, and so we called somebody out.
yeah, so we're dealing with that. But
Starting.
luckily, I didn't need to get
700.
this
Starting.
$700.
Will it just? Did you pay it? Or is it still
Well,
stuck open?
yeah.
I've been like, no, I'm gonna leave
Yeah,
this
we had
open.
to. And ours was
Yeah.
a silly little sensor move.
Oh, no kidding. And that's what.
No,
Yes,
no.
ma'am.
And that was $700.
That's why I said starting out.
Oh no, that is just.
You call Channel 7.
That is just treacherous.
7 problem solvers.
Yeah, with Michael Schwartz.
That's
Get
being
him on the-
gouged because that's
Yeah.
happened to me. I've like hit a sensor and I would tell my husband, I'm like, I broke the door. He's like, what did you do? I said, I don't think I did anything, but somehow I broke the door.
Yeah.
And he looked at the sensor and was like, it's this sensor. I
You
was
know what's like
oh,
my biggest pet peeve?
okay.
This is such a minor thing. We have one of those. We bought our house. We have one of those garages that's got a column between them, so it's not one garage; it's 2 individual garages, and it
Oh.
has never been convenient. It is always a pain
I
in
don't
the butt.
see that being convenient.
No, because then you've got
whatsoever.
to. Oh, do we got to go? We got to go. Kevin's
Yeah,
telling us
we
we got to
gotta
go.
go.
Shout
And
out
I gotta
Kevin
get on
for his
air over
first
there,
show.
yeah.
All right, bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Hello. Hi, I was on the air and I'm going to be on the air again. Everything okay? Yeah.